Yeah. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's another Friday. It's another Your Open Metaverse Ask Me Anything. I just want to get a thumbs up before I get started and do a whole story like I do every week. I just want to have a quick audio check. Is everybody here on Telegram? Can I get a thumbs up for sound? Is everybody here on YouTube? Can I get a thumbs up for sound? Yes, exactly. Everything is working great. Well, guys, do we have something in store for you today? But before I get into that, let's do a quick recap of last week. Last week's AMA, we talked about the meme contest, and I'm going to give you another update on the meme contest today. And I'm going to say this a few times today, but we have 1 week left on the meme contest. So bring out that creative Goliath in yourself, or maybe David, and show us what you've got. We want to have lots more amazing memes. Another thing we spoke about last week is the amazing fact that we are working very hard on a lot of really cool partnerships. And that is probably the best way to shimmy into the most important topic of today, because today we have here live on the AMA 2 very special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Rick Schmitz from LTO Networks. Rick, are you there?
Hey guys, good to have me on the show. Really grateful for that.
Hey Rick.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Where are you calling us from? Can I ask?
Yeah. From my bedroom in London. Downstairs, it's a little bit more noisy than here. So decided to move up. But doing work in London now. There's a lot of opportunities here for LTO as well. We played out Amsterdam and the rest of the Netherlands. Everybody knows there. So it's time to move to the UK, where there's a lot of blockchain projects, a lot of new opportunity, and a lot of cool stuff that can be done with LTO.
Awesome. So I'm very happy to have you here today, Rick. We're also expecting another special guest from LTO Networks, their very own Arnold Daniels. However, Arnold is experiencing the rare occasion where Dutch public transportation is not on time, and therefore we're still looking at an empty chair. But I am 100% convinced that Arnold will be showing us very quickly, so we're just gonna give him a little bit of time to make it to the show today. In the meantime, before we go into the interview, you and me, Rick, I thought maybe it might be interesting to show your Open Metaverse community, and hopefully also some people from LTO Networks, but they probably already know what I'm going to show them, a little bit about, what is LTO Networks? What are you guys? What are you guys doing? And when I did my own research, I noticed that you guys have an amazing video on YouTube that really clearly explains what you guys are doing. So I thought I'd show that to our audience, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do it.
Large organizations have always tried to automate their processes, to reduce their administrative burdens, and to upgrade their efficiency. Unfortunately, progress here has stagnated by putting too much focus on internal processes. As soon as organizations start collaborating externally, they fall back on ancient communication methods like email, fax, and even regular mail. The problem with these methods is that they produce unstructured data which don't allow for automation and reuse of data. We could solve this by switching to a centralized system. But do you want to rely on a system that is run by an organization that you do business with? And would you trust your strategic data to that system? Probably not. That's why we created LTO Network, a hybrid blockchain solution that connects to your existing systems to enable efficient collaboration on complex multi-stakeholder processes, such as international waste transportation, track and trace of consumer goods, inspections of oil terminal and aircraft, providing data integrity to digital signature applications and document management systems. Other blockchain solutions require a total overhaul of your existing system. But with LTO Network, you can integrate into your existing systems with ease. To learn more about us, please visit LTO.network.
Wow, it's an amazing video. I'm really jealous of it, by the way, Rick. It's funny because when I watched this video, one of the first things I did is I sent a message to my marketing team. I said, like, we need this. We need something like this. But if we look at the video, you know, that's a lot of really cool stuff, especially for business life. But what does this have to do with the Metaverse?
Well, we started off as a hybrid blockchain, and that evolved into something else because you have new demands from clients and new opportunities basically every month. So in our roadmap, we decided to have DIDs being released, so digital IDs and verifiable credentials. And after that, the NFT was a really good use case. There were already so many NFT projects out there, so we decided to do something different with the NFTs called Ownables, and you have a truly decentralized NFT. The technical details will be explained by Arnold in a bit. He will enter the office in not so long from now. But by bringing NFTs 2.0, where you can have your collectible or ownable inside of your wallet and not on a platform which is then decentralized on other platforms. It is a truly NFT which lives inside of your wallet. And I think that also brought the idea to bring Metaverse to LTO because we see this space growing really rapidly. We see the interest of companies, also real business world companies, coming to us, say, hey guys, can we do something with NFTs and a metaverse where we can create like a visual digital representation of a nightclub or an office or meeting rooms and stuff like that. So the demand is coming in really fast, but we don't have the skills in-house to build metaverses itself. You need people who understand Unreal Engine and stuff. We don't have them.
So LTO Networks really is bringing the power of the blockchain to business applications, right? That's in one simple sentence what you guys are doing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's definitely correct. So if we are definitely bridging the gap between the businesses and blockchain more really in since 2014.
Rick, I think we're having a little bit of a connection issue with London. Don't know if this is a direct result of Brexit. I think you're back. Yeah, continue.
I'm back. So we decided to bridge the gap between businesses and the demand for Metaverse. Businesses are still coming to us to inquire for blockchain projects, and they see Metaverse per se as a business project, blockchain project as well. So we decided to partner up on stuff that we cannot do or we're not good at. So that's why the partnership with you guys is for us, like a knockout of the park. Like we really needed somebody who understands the Unreal Engine and to create games and stuff like that. So we could combine both worlds.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. Now, look, I'm super happy to hear when somebody like you, I mean, for those of you out there that are not aware, there's a few really big blockchain projects from the Netherlands out there. And unfortunately, your Open Metaverse isn't really yet one of them. Well, you know, some might say that we are, but I think most would say not. And in fact, I think there's only 2 blockchain projects from the Netherlands that are actually listed on Binance. Is that correct, Rick?
Yeah, that's correct. Like we have Dusk and LTO, that's super cool to see that they listed us as projects. And yeah, like if you have Binance as an exchange, you'll have so much more liquidity and eyeballs in your project that it happens by itself, and then the flywheel is on.
Yeah,
then it becomes easier to do business.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, look
who
we've got. It's Lenny Kravitz. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I thought it was Lenny Kravitz, but it is Arnold Daniels. Arnold, you're muted, by the way, because there was some background noise over at your side. So somebody will have to unmute you in Teams because I can't unmute you myself, I see. Is anybody there? Can you guys unmute? Yeah, I see somebody's working on it. You just need to press unmute in Teams. Yes, there we go. Arnold, so good to have you.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Excellent.
Awesome. So we were just talking about LTO Networks and your Open Metaverse coming together, and Rick, made us a lot of compliments and talking about our expertise being in Unreal Engine and building metaverses. But that's our CTO Johan in the background. But I was still interesting for our community. What's really important is I kind of want to make them understand how big of a deal this is, because like we already established, there's only 2 Dutch projects, blockchain projects on Binance, which is saying a lot. I think that's a good measure of a level of authority and adoption. That's you and Dusk, which is very impressive. But can you tell a little bit more about, we saw the video, but can you tell a little bit more about, what your vision for the future is with LTO Networks?
Yeah, so with LTO, we're really concerned about ownership and how can we decentralize ownership and make the whole thing more transparent and more honest to all parties involved. Like if you look at the world currently, everything is being done through centralized marketplaces. I think that has been the trend in the last couple of decades, that everything is becoming centralized. So if you want to book a hotel, you go to booking.com. If you want somewhere to stay, you go to Airbnb, etc., etc. So these are these big megalomania tech companies that are basically controlling all our lives. And using blockchain, we have the chance to actually take back control. So as a user, we can start doing these kind of transactions just among ourselves.
Yeah. And I can imagine that I'm pretty sure that in our community as well, there's a lot of people that will agree with you, right? I mean, going decentralized, being more decentralized is definitely an important power of blockchain. It opens up new venues and gives us an alternative to, what we've seen over the last decade with scandals like Cambridge Analytica, where all centralized data was used by Facebook to influence the American elections, etc. Or well, not by Facebook, but through Facebook. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are thinking to themselves, okay, but so LTO Networks is amazing for business applications and for decentralizing data and how you share data. But where's the connection with the metaverse? Can you guys say a little bit about how do you see the business side of the metaverse in the future and why that makes our partnership so valuable? Rick? Maybe?
Yeah, definitely.
Arnold?
So.
Arnold? Oh.
Sorry?
I said Arnold or Rick. No, go on.
Yeah, one of the important parts is to create an open metaverse where everybody is able to contribute and to build their own things. So for that, this decentralization and blockchain is very important. If you're looking at LTO, we're enabling this open metaverse by making people able to control their own assets in their own wallet and just trade them peer-to-peer rather than having to rely on some kind of central hub where all the data is with some kind of management there.
Yeah. And can Rick, maybe you can give an example of how businesses in the future might benefit from that?
Yeah, I see this as a complete new earnings model for businesses. For me, like the most tangible project is one we have in Greece with a nightclub. They basically want to have a new earnings model where people didn't have to go physically to the club anymore, but you could go to the club with your Oculus Rift on, sitting on the couch, meeting you with your friends, getting a table, being able to market within the metaverse, connections to other places, let's say casino or a store where you can buy collectibles. For them also, the fact that you can sell tickets online through NFTs, which gives you certain perks in the real clubs as well, is for them a whole new business world that opens, where they're putting their money in and making sure, okay, we need to be future proof, and maybe we're even able to double revenues in the next decade, because they think also it's going to be super popular, and there are no limitations to the size of the club in the metaverse. So I think it is really clear that there is a demand for this. It's still small. I don't know about how many people actually own an Oculus Rift or other VR kind of device, but I think this will be growing in the next few years, and in 5 years from now, it will be pretty normal to meet your friends in the metaverse, interact there, and bring stuff. So you bring your NFTs, your collectibles, your ownables to the metaverse as well, and that's where we come in.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. And to answer your question, because you talked about the amount of headsets, I think right now the globally there's about 26 million people using a VR headset. But if we look at market growth, it's grown from 2.6 billion in 2020 to 3.7 billion in 2021. So that's over 1 billion in growth in just 1 year. It's expected to go up to 4.6 billion this year, actually. And even 5.1 billion in 2023. Just that's in numbers. And when we look at adoption, we also, of course, know that that just like with the mobile phones at the end of the 90s towards our time today, or the mid of the 2010s, mobile phone adoption skyrocketed. It was an exponential growth. So I think that it's really important for us, and I can tell from what you're saying, but I can speak for your open metaverse at least, is we're not looking at just today, we're looking at the future, right? We are building your open metaverse on a Solana blockchain. And so a lot of people might ask, so, if we're building on Solana, how are you going to collaborate with LTO? But I think that we are already looking to the future. And the future, in my opinion, in our opinion, is also multi-chain. Right, so there's a lot of opportunities there. But right now, today, is also interesting for our community to know how we're going to benefit from each other. So I don't know, perhaps Arnold, you spoke very extensively with our CTO Jorrit. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how your open metaverse and LTO are going to benefit from each other's expertise.
Yeah, so what we're looking at is how you can take your assets, so the things that you gather and own in the metaverse, how can you take them out and store them in your own wallet, so you have full control of that. And I think that's an important part of really creating this open metaverse, rather than just having a meta alternative. We really want to create something new together.
Yeah. Thank you.
Maybe like a little example, like let's say we take the club again, and you want to bring a cool jacket from Louis Vuitton you bought in another metaverse. How would that work, Arnold, from a technical perspective?
Yeah, so the point is that you can actually take that asset. If that asset was forged as ownable, you can take that out of the metaverse and store that in your own wallet. The whole history of ownership, but also how it was created, etc., is stored as an event chain. So that works similar as a blockchain. It's not, okay, this is my asset, and I'm just going to take this file. But you get this history of where did it come from, who was the owner of it, were there any changes, etc. And you use that to validate, okay, this is the actual object and not a copy of it.
Yeah.
This. And you take that event chain, you take that to the new metaverse where you want to import it, and it will validate and say, okay, this is actually your item, it's an original item, so here it is, and go ahead and use it in our world.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit, perhaps also about NFT 2.0, because that also plays into this, right? Because you guys wrote a really nice light paper. For those of you watching the stream right now from the Your Open Metaverse community, I highly recommend you go to the website of LTO Networks. They have an amazing light paper there, and it's definitely worth reading. But perhaps you can tell us a little bit about that, Arnold.
Yeah, so part of it is what we've been discussing now with Ownables, which is about creating and transferring these assets to your own wallet. Ownables are smart contracts, but rather than running on a node, you run them in your own wallet. So that's kind of different from what we're used to now, and that opens the door to lots of new possibilities, because you're not limited to the compute power and size. What we know now when trying to run a script on a public node, instead you can have full applications and run that as a smart contract.
Yeah.
So that's going to open the door for lots of things. We said you can take these assets and we can do things with consumables. So for instance, if you have a character in your wallet, you can buy add-ons for that and consume that, and in that way upgrade your character.
Yeah, yeah. I think the term that Jorrit used, our CTO. So for those of you listening, I'm not the most technical guy in our company, but Arnold is definitely the Einstein of LTO Networks. So I'm just trying to stay on his level here. But from what Jorrit explained to me, he called it X to charge. So you use tokens to charge something up. Is that a way of looking at it? Or is that something different?
More or less, but these are actual consumables. So these tokens, these are actually also ownable. So you can buy and trade that. It might be a new skin or a potion or whatever. Makes sense in that world, and you can buy it and you can just trade that thing as it is. But at some point you might say, okay, I'm going to consume it, and that's actually going to change my original assets. So for instance, your character. Yeah. So that's a cool new stuff, and also cool new opportunity for businesses to create a new model to earn money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's extremely exciting, and I think this is one of the coolest things so far that I learned about. That's probably going to come out of the the collaboration with LTO and our exchange of knowledge and expertise. Because if I can really see a metaverse here in my mind, where I go to a concert, say that I'm going to a concert at one of these clubs in Greece where we're working on, and there's a DJ there. And I buy a collectible, a cap or a shirt, or perhaps, something crazy, funny. I don't know, a hoverboard. Who knows? It's possible. But technically, when I buy it first, it's just a skateboard. And then only after I charge it, it becomes a hoverboard. And as I charge it, the hoverboard gives me access to an after party for that concert. If I charge it even more, I'll get access to after parties for every concert in that club for the rest of the year. Right? So suddenly, there's so much that's possible that you can do and that you can use tokens for. And I think that's super cool. And I think we've only begun to scratch the surface of what's really possible. I saw Rick laughing when I made some of the examples. What were you thinking, Rick?
No, I think you're totally right. It is so cool that they're like the opportunities that arise together with you guys and the things we're in such a new space where everything is new and exciting. We can pioneer truly, and doing that with like-minded people is for me the biggest fun there is. Working is not work here; it is actually pioneering, and that's what I love. And I love the passion of your team, and it clicks really well with our team. So that's why I really appreciate our new partnership.
Awesome, thank you. So I've been looking at chat here, and I see that on YouTube there's a very passionate conversation taking place between some people with some questions. So I thought maybe we take an opportunity to have a quick look at that. So Stefan Stubitz asked to start, and this kicked off a whole conversation. So I know Rick and Arnold, you guys can see this, but it's very passionate. Stefan said, who wants that? Does anybody really believe people want to go to a club in the metaverse? And then several people said, yeah, definitely. And they're trying to answer his question now. But, outside of the questions that people are giving here in chat, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of people that don't want to go to a nightclub in general, but they want to meet like-minded people. And there's a new exciting thing going on there. Like, it is so new. The experience would be very different from going to a real life club. But if you can imagine that you go to your table with your friends that live in New York, London, Amsterdam, you have like basically a virtual meeting in a club, like with your friends, which you would normally do as well. But you made something which is impossible because you're all far away, possible because you can just zone in. And besides that, if you're at your table and you can order a drink, and 10 minutes later, Uber Eats comes and bring the actual drinks and serve it to you while you're still in the metaverse. These possibilities are going to happen. People think it's super weird, but in 5 years from now, like I think half of the population would go into the metaverse and check it out at least. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I keep thinking of that example for you, Stefan. Go on YouTube and look up the video of people in 1998 being asked if they would ever want a mobile phone. I mean, I bring this example up every single day. People back then said, no, I don't want a mobile phone. I don't want to get cold. I'm not important. I have an answering machine. If I'm bringing my kids to school on a bike, I don't want to get a phone call. If I need a phone call because I have problems with my car, I go to a farmer or I go to a telephone cell. But these people simply couldn't fathom what it would be like, right? And that's going to happen here as well. But I know for a fact, Stefan, if you're somebody that's going to Ibiza now and you love clubbing, then maybe you can't imagine to go somewhere virtually. But I tell you, I have friends, really good friends, 40-year-old men and women that are single that, live on their computer. I know, you might not, this is not your life. But there's millions of people out there that live like this. And these people also like social engagement. They just don't like to go to a club. And for these...
Well, and I think even if you like clubbing, the experience is going to be different. So you want to have this real-life clubbing experience. But if you go into a metaverse, you will also be able to be treated to your favorite artist, but then more in an artful environment where it's not just the music and some lasers, but the whole environment breathes and can do things that simply aren't possible in our current reality. So I think these are going to be different experiences. And for instance, somebody like me would enjoy them both in a different way, but would want to experience them both.
Yeah, well said, Arnold. Well said, absolutely.
I think
Rick, the connection is a bit bad. Give it a second, please. You're breaking up a little bit. You're back. Yep.
What I would say to the people is, like, if you really want to know how big this is gonna be, try it once. Ask a friend who has one or buy one if you have the means for that. And if you play a game or you do even the intro of a VR device, it is absolutely mind blowing. And if you see how it works, then you're gonna be hooked, and then you understand that this is gonna be big.
Yeah. Well said. I was in a meeting just before this AMA. I did a presentation for a company called Headforward. They're a tech development company. And there's some real techies in there, and they initially didn't believe in the concept of VR, but every single one of them admitted that having a virtual reality experience is really completely different, and in its own right, very, very cool. And I think the thing that you need to keep in mind here is that going to a club is a certain experience, like Arnold said, but going to a virtual event or a virtual environment is also an experience, just not exactly the same as a traditional clubbing, right? I mean, in my first experience in VR, and I'll show you, this here is an Oculus Dk Development Kit, one of the first ones ever, and I received it after pre-order. And, you know, when I put this thing on, if I put it on now, it's probably really bad because, you know, it's very pixelated, etc., etc. But I will never forget the day I put this thing on for the first time, and I had my first VR experience because it really blew my mind. I was in a spaceship in a game Elite Dangerous, and I basically felt like Han Solo. And from that moment on, I knew this presents such amazing possibilities, because a club in VR can do things that a club in real life could never do. Right? You could all float around. There could be shows and visuals that you could never make in the real world. And so there's also new ways to interact with each other and with reality itself, or at least virtual reality itself, that are really, pushing the boundaries. So let's have a quick look at some more questions in the chat here, because we won't have Rick and Arnold here all day. I think we only have a few minutes left. Did you guys have to go, or how are we on time? Just a quick check. Arnold is in the office, so he won't be going anywhere.
I'm in the office, I'm good.
And Rick?
Yeah, we can go for an extra 5, no worries.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's see. We have questions here. What app? Oh, this is one for LTO Networks itself. What applications does NFT 2.0 have outside of the metaverse? So this is probably one for Arnold then to take on.
So there are a number of things you can do. One of the things are embedded applications. So now when you buy an NFT, it's just some kind of image, and maybe you can interact with it with an application that somebody built. But with NFT 2.0, with ownables, your NFT can actually contain an application like a game that you can play where you can earn with. So that's one of the possibilities. Another thing is ownership for real world assets. So you might think of real estate, of copyrights of certain materials. That you can now digitize, because we have this bridging between the blockchain and then having actual ownership, where you can take care of the actual legal procedure. So it can do a lot of things, mostly things that have to do with ownership. But we're also very interested to see where other developers will come up with.
Yeah, I think that for the final sentence you just said is definitely one to keep in mind. The reality is that whenever we come to times, and there have been times like these before, perhaps not quite as impactful for humanity, but there have been times when there were different technological developments taking place at the same time, coming to a level of maturity and then influencing each other, right? We've seen that during the space race between Russia and the United States. We've seen it during several world wars, which of course was not so fun, but it did happen there as well. We've seen it at the end of the 90s with the internet maturing, wireless connections maturing, and mobile telephones, flat screen televisions, or touch screen, etc. And now we're seeing it again in a very, very impactful way. So just like you said, we're not really capable of really knowing what we'll have in our hands, how our reality will change, how our society will change 10 years from now. Because right now we have all of this tech, blockchain, metaverse, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, human-machine interfacing, all reaching this level of adolescence and starting to influence each other. Okay, so let's do one last round. Is there any questions that anybody on YouTube or on Telegram want to ask from either Rick or Arnold? This is last call before we're gonna finalize this interview. So let's see. Let's have it. Any questions? I think the guys on YouTube went into their own conversation. They completely lost track of the AMA. I mean, there's literally there's this wall of text of people having these conversations about why, emojis or not. And I want to go. Oh, wait, what is this here? Somebody wrote, I want to go to Petra and Jordan as a VR experience. Wow. Okay, so this conversation is off the rails. Any questions? What we do now... Oh, I think this is a conversation. They're still having a conversation. Okay, well, I have one final question for you guys. What potential results do you guys think that we can see in the long run from LTO and your open metaverse working together? I think in many ways we already answered this question, but that's a question I'll ask one of you now. Don't stop rambling.
Yeah, like I will answer this one. For me, it's the collaboration between two parties that have a different kind of skill set. You guys can build the metaverses, have experience with Unreal Engine and the creation of games and metaverse itself. And we have the technological infrastructure and actually big clientele that reaches out to us to build this stuff as a combined project. And I always am somebody who says, okay, hocus pocus, the truc is focus, basically meaning you need to focus on what you're good at. And you guys are good at that thing, we are the other thing. So if you combine those skill sets, you can deliver faster and better products than if you would do it by yourself. And that's why I think that this partnership will thrive, and that it is definitely fruitful for more projects together.
Yeah.
And then maybe Arnold, you can answer it from a technological perspective as well.
Yeah, I think we're already seeing it right now, just in the conversation that we're having on a deep technological level. Problems that haven't been tackled about ownership, about copying, etc., that we're now able to think about at a much deeper and higher level than you could do with just peers working on the same thing with the same vision that you have. So I think that's very interesting, and yeah, we're already making progress, even though we've just been starting this partnership.
Yeah. So there's two questions in chat. Thank you for that, by the way, Rick. Thank you, Arnold. There's two questions in the chat now. I think they're of a rather complicated nature. At least one of them definitely is, but I'll just quickly go over them, and then that's the last two questions. So what's next for NFT 2.0 development? Question mark by Nadiri.
Well, yeah, what's next? What's next is what's first. We're now working on getting these smart contracts that run in your wallet, and having these embeddable applications, and we should have a first demo version of that and at the end of this quarter. And after that, we'll just progress and start working on the features as in our roadmap. Cool.
Then the last question. I'm sorry, Michael, you were just a little too late. Perhaps we'll answer your question some other time. But Emo Baga asked regarding hitboxes. So this is quite a difficult one. Regarding hitboxes, I think not everybody will be able to make good hitboxes for their NFTs. So I'm taking it that you're talking about 3D NFTs, or at least the assets connected to those NFTs. Shouldn't there be an instance that is responsible for the hitboxes of a 3D NFT model? Wow, this is really a complicated question. Can we answer that one now at all, or is that something that we'll leave for the future?
I think it would be best to answer that. This is going a little bit too deep into the gaming engine for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Emo, from what I know, but I lead our dev team. I'm definitely not an Unreal Engine developer myself, and I think that your question also goes beyond just Unreal Engine. Generally speaking, I think that the answer to your question is yes, it would probably be good. But when it comes down to your open metaverse and our development right here, I think the important thing to realize is that we're building as a platform. So yes, we are working on experiences to showcase what the platform is possible capable of, but you have to think of it in the same way as, you know, Crytek releasing Crysis as a game. Crysis shows what the Crytek engine can do, but Crytek engine is the real product that they're building so that everybody else can build amazing games on it, you know. And in the same sense, Unreal Engine does the same thing. They always have a game to showcase Unreal Engine, but Unreal Engine is what we're using. And in our case, we're building a platform where we use Unreal Engine together with blockchain technology to make a kind of, you know, a premium level, three-dimensional YouTube of the future, where every brand, every artist, every creator can create their own experiences for their audience. And so this is something that we'll definitely have to figure out in the future. I think the idea is very good. I don't know if we'll be doing that on our own, probably at some point as part of the open metaverse. If you have more questions about that, I highly recommend you to get in touch sometime with our CTO Jorrit if he's on an AMA in the future. Cool. Well, yeah. Did somebody want to jump in, or I thought somebody made a noise? No. Okay. So cool. Well, I think that about rounds it up. I did what I always do. I went at least 10 minutes over time. So Rick, super happy for you to have been here. Thank you so much. Arnold, you're probably gonna stick with me a little while longer. So who knows? At the end, we'll have more AMA room. If any questions come in, you'll still be here to answer it. But for now, thank you both for making the time to come talk to us. I can say the rest of your Open Metaverse are super, super, super excited about our partnership and the things that we're going to build together in the next few years. I think we're really going to blow people's minds.
Thank you. Well said. And thank you for having me on the show. See you next time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. Right. So that was the interview with Arnold de Rick. Arnold is still there in the background to back me up if he wants. You're also free to go to the toilet, Arnold. It's up to you. But what else do I have for you today? So I want to give you guys a little update on what we're doing at your Open Metaverse. And first of all, I want to do something that you guys have requested for last week. You said we want to see more stuff, and we didn't just hear it during the AMA last week. We also heard it on social media, on Telegram. You guys were like, you know, we want to see stuff. We want to know what you guys are doing. And so I'm going to try and make that wish come true as often and as many times as possible. And so for today, our team prepared some stuff that I can show you. So that's what I'm going to do. Here we go. So I'm going to show you guys a few things. And the first one is an animation from our dev team that they're building for one of the tech demos worlds that we are using. And of course, this always happens. It was working perfectly fine, I swear. Here we go. There we go. So these are some assets that the dev team is developing currently for one of the worlds that we're working on. The code name of that world is Maximus. And of course, every world, you know, the realism of any world is dependent on the details, right? Less details means less realism. So to create realistic worlds, we're building all kinds of assets to populate these worlds. So here's another example. This is a statue, which also not loading. So I'll just load it. This one is a statue that we've built as a model for one of the worlds, one of the tech demos that we're working on. Another thing that I would like to show you guys is the concept art. So because we're building 3 different worlds for your Open Metaverse as tech demos, we're also doing a lot of concept art on what avatars might look like. And what you're seeing here is basically some concept art development from one of the mood boards of our character and concept artist. And here's another one. Different coloring, different kind of style, for a different kind of world. Because like I said, we're developing 3 different worlds, 3 different tech demos. So the way you could see this is that ultimately on your Open Metaverse, you might have all kinds of different avatars. But as we're going to launch, at least at the RTG, we also aim to launch different collections of virtual cosmetics or virtual fashion attributes that you can then select, and use on your avatar. So here's another one for the third world. Again, these are concept art drawings and not final products, but just to let you guys see what we're working on. Cool. So if there's any questions, what are some of the first interactions people will be able to experience in your open metaverse besides communication and character customization? Here's a question from Emote Bugger. Okay, so again, Emote, I think it's very important for you to realize that it's very hard for me to answer that question because we're building some tech demos to showcase what's possible, and you will be able to go in those and experience the world. But ultimately, you can compare your question to asking, at the start of YouTube, when YouTube was still being in development, you could have said, okay, yeah, what kind of videos will we see on YouTube? It's very hard to answer that question because ultimately when our platform is done, there will be different brands, different artists, different creators, different organizations building different kind of experiences on the platform with different purposes and different goals, right? One DJ might build a club in there, and they might, make it possible for you to visit concerts there or listen to their music and meet like-minded fans. And there might be artists that showcase their virtual art. That there might also be organizations that build their own meta experiences so they can meet up with their employees from around the world in a space that motivates a creative mindset so they can tackle, problems that the organization has as a whole. There might be a recruitment agency that makes a virtual escape room for candidates that they're interviewing to see how they collaborate with others or how they solve complicated issues so that they can do a talent acquisition process, acquiring talent, in a new and novel way that allows you to make sure that there can be no discrimination for, how somebody looks or where they're from, etc., etc. So there's many, many different possibilities. Mini games, yeah, there will definitely be mini games, but I can't say right now at this point yet what those mini games will be like, or what the goal of them will be or how they will work. The only thing I can say is that in all of these experiences, will make sure that, or it's very likely that you have all kinds of use cases for NFTs. And this is also, of course, where the partnership with LTO came in that we discussed before. Right, I see. Yeah, so Jochem in the Telegram chat is asking when Easter eggs. Yes, Easter eggs. I announced that a while back. Our Easter egg competition is coming. Not yet, unfortunately. Not yet. So the next topic that I quickly want to dive into is our meme competition. It's been running for 2 weeks now. I have to admit, I think that maybe it's a little bit too long. So for other competitions that follow, we'll probably look at a shorter time span. But the meme competition has been very, very successful for the most part. We've had some really amazing memes. I already showed a few last week, but I want to share a few more with you today. So let's have a look at those. So this is one that we received on our Discord channel, and I still think it's a pretty funny one. It's a classic meme. Another one that we got, I thought was pretty funny. For those of you that are not boomers, this is a meme from The Shining. By the way, a really good horror kind of horror movie. And then we also received this one, which is, I think, my personal favorite. But I am very heavily biased towards anything to do with The Matrix because it's my favorite movie of all time. Right. So, this is the wrong window. I'm sorry. It happened. Let's see. So, what else? Yeah, I think we're kind of about to wrap things up. I'm going to do a few announcements now, and then we're going to go into a final round of questions. So, Arnold is still on the other side as well. So, if you guys have any questions, or you should start thinking about them now so that you have your final opportunity of putting them in the chat. But for now, I'll quickly go into some announcements for the week to come. So for those of you watching, Next week, we're going to do a very important announcement regarding our TGE or IDO. I know that all of you have been waiting for this, and probably on the, on the front of your seat. How do you say that? Het puntje van je stoel, Arnold. This is what we say in Dutch.
The front of your seat.
Ja, the front of your seat. Op het puntje van je stoel zitten. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna make sure that Arnold is here with us. Yeah, so for those of you that are op het puntje van je stoel, next week we're gonna do a very, very, very important TGE announcement. So make sure that you tune in on Friday if you want to know what that is. Another thing we're going to do next week is we're going to announce an amazing new partnership and investor relationship that we have secured last week and that I am super, super excited about. Yeah, if you want to know what that is and what's going on, then be a part of that. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, this week there's going to be a new speaker in our Metaverse Exploring group every Wednesday evening. You can join our founder, Daniel van der Waals, on his Metaverse explorations and Metaverse keynotes. And this week there is Lara Diaz, who is a producer from Decentraland. And she's going to be talking about Decentraland and how they want to empower the community by content creation in the Metaverse. So, for those of you that have heard or seen me before, I have a lot of thoughts on Decentraland. But one that I haven't shared often is that I'm very happy that they're there because they are trailblazing in many ways and they are creating a lot of attention and hype for the Metaverse. And in many ways, they are making sure that the Metaverse concept will be successful in the long run. And I'm very grateful for that. So if you're interested in what Decentraland is doing, and they're of course very different from your open Metaverse, but definitely join the Metaverse Explorers group virtual reality keynote on Wednesday. So that's it for my announcement. So Arnold and me are still here for a few questions, and I saw that in chat some questions came up, so I'll answer them one by one, or I'll ask Arnold if he can answer them. So first of all, Bjorn, when Dutch AMA? Bjorn, there's never going to be a Dutch AMA. I'm sorry, but your open Metaverse is not just for Dutchies. I'm sorry if you were hoping for that, but I think that one of the most beautiful aspects of the Metaverse is that it can break boundaries. It is not limited by borders. In the Metaverse, we are not Dutch or German or Chinese or Filipino or Brazilian. In the Metaverse, we're all explorers at a new frontier. And we can find purpose in how we meet each other and connect on a completely different level. And I think that's one of the most wonderful things about it. So sorry about that. No Dutch AMAs. What are some of the first interactions? No, already had that question. Minigames. Yeah, I think that will YOM have Facebook login connection from Emot Baga? No, we won't. At least not if I can help it. I mean, our view on the Metaverse, and I think that Arnold is laughing because I think he's been talking a lot about decentralization. Perhaps you want to. Arnold, why don't you answer this one? Because LTO is not a Metaverse, but you know why I don't want to work with Facebook, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, let me first answer this from a technical point of view. In a decentralized environment, you are in control of your own keys, your own private keys, which protects your identity. So it's not about logging into some server telling you who you are. No, you can tell who you are and prove who you are through your key sets. And that's very important because if you're using a central party like Facebook as a gatekeeper, they can decide what's right and what's wrong, who can say what and who can't say anything. So we don't want to fall into that trap, and we want to keep things decentralized and have everybody share this control.
Exactly. I couldn't have answered that question better myself. Thank you, Arnold. Cool. So what else? Question for LT. No, sorry. Nadiri. We would connect to Facebook if they allowed, but there's no plans for what they are doing. Okay, so that was more of an answer from Nadiri. Questions for LTO regarding DIDs. Since it's all about decentralized authentication and identification, how are you going to initially verify the identity of a person who creates a DID?
Yes, so the IDs on itself are just key sets, which can be connected with your virtual identity, and you do that yourself. When it comes to your real world identity, you're gonna need a party that's gonna do the identification and gonna work as a trust anchor. So we want to do something similar what you see with SSL. You can go to a party, they identify you and connect that to a public key. We're gonna have the same thing for DIDs when it involves real world identities.
Awesome, thanks. I hope that answers your question, Emot. So I see Michael came back with another question, and I think we owe it to him to answer this one. Now, Michael said, when it comes to assets in the metaverses and using ownables, does the metaverse decide what an asset looks like, or is it embedded within the ownable, which means it looks the same in all metaverses? I think that Arnold can probably say something about that from a technical perspective, but I'll definitely answer it first from mine. And from your open metaverse, perhaps not in a more technical way, but in a general way. So the question is a very interesting one. And I think that to some extent, it really ties back to the whole reason we decided to build your open metaverse. The reason we're building this platform is because we want to create an environment where all of that stuff is seamless. So to some extent, we would like to make it that you have a level of control over what your ownable looks like in every metaverse. You know, there needs to be some level of recognizability about it. Is that an English word? Right? So it should look more or less the same in every world. However, depending on what the metaverse itself looks like and what are, you know, what's the rule set for how it works, that might change. I mean, if you would have an asset today in Sandbox, we all know Sandbox is pretty blocky, right? So if you'd have an asset in there, then it could never look exactly the same in a super photorealistic metaverse experience on your open metaverse. That's simply impossible. So how exactly technically that would work then, that's not a question I can answer. But what I do know is that there's already projects out there like Metamundo who are solving this, right? Metamundo already made a portal where they basically do a translation of what your NFT looks like in a particular space, and then translates it to a look that is as similar as possible within the parameters of another metaverse. And we will do the same thing internally for our platform. So if there's an LTO Networks, you know, global sales conference experience, I'm just making this up as I go, and there's a Martin Garrix concert, right? And you have a collectible from one and you want to take it to another, but the one is photorealistic and one is cartoony, then we'll do our very best to make it the technology in such a way that it translates as accurate as possible within those limitations. So I hope that answers your question. Probably not completely, but at least it gives you an idea of what we're trying to achieve. Is there anything you want to add to that, Arnold?
No, I think you answered that very well.
Yeah. Cool. So CryptoNarv says, LTO is working with Chainlink to launch a product to bring that experience. Oh, okay. That was an answer. Okay. Thank you so much, CryptoNarv. Yeah. So there's many ways, and there's many people already working on this problem. And I hope we'll bring you a satisfactory solution in the future, Michael. Cool. So it is 4:58. I did it again. Managed to go at least an hour. So I think we should wrap it up. Arnold, is there anything you want to say to the audience before we finish up?
Well, I want to thank you for having us. Well, we'll see each other a lot in the future. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Oh my god. Okay, Amot, I'm gonna leave it to chat to answer that question. Thank you for being so involved and interactive. I really appreciate that. So Arnold, again, thank you, and also thanks to Rick who already left us. It was great having you on the AMA today. Like you said, we will be seeing a lot of each other because I think that we're gonna do some really beautiful stuff. That's it for today. That's it for now. Make sure that you, chat, and the community out there keep helping us to reach ever more people, to spread the word of the incoming Your Open Metaverse and the possibilities of LTO Network and our collaboration in the future. Thank you. That's it for now. See you all next week. And I forgot to cue my end transition view. Bye-bye.